Why is dieting so hard? Why is exercise hard? Why is trying to build a business hard? You might think it's because sugar is addicting, or because you hate running, or maybe because of Jeff Bezos. But what if I told you that all of those things were hard simply because of the fact that they are all different types of change? And that it doesn't matter what the thing is that you're trying to accomplish. Instead, that it's the very nature of change that is challenging, difficult, or hard. But is that always the case? And if it is, then you might be asking, why? Why does change have to be so hard? Welcome to Change Made Easy. Change is hard. We make it easy. My name is Paul Levitin. I am a certified behavior change specialist and coach, and I've been working in the field of behavior change for over a decade. My goal is to help you understand the science and master the art of change. When change is easy, improving your health, wealth, relationships, and leading a happy, fulfilling life becomes automatic. And the first step to making change easier is understanding why it's so hard in the first place. It doesn't matter what the change you're after is. Your change is different than my change. You might be struggling sticking to a diet, while I struggle to get out of the habit of using my phone so much, and someone else struggles with waking up earlier. No matter what you're trying to accomplish, it hinges on that single word, change. And by the end of this episode, you'll understand why you struggle with change and why it's all Isaac Newton's fault, and why you have to know the rules before you can break them. Imagine for a second, someone hands you a brand new sealed box of the game Monopoly. Now, maybe you're a master at Monopoly, but for the sake of this example, imagine you've never played the game, never even heard of it. And now imagine you peel away the plastic wrapping, you open the box, you take everything out onto the table, and you see all the board, the pieces, it's all there, but there's no instruction manual. There's paper dollars, little plastic house thingies, a metal boot, a dog. You see the board with all the names on it, the dice, the cards, whatever else is there, but there's no instructions. Nothing to tell you what to actually do with this stuff. Nothing to tell you how the game is played. What do you think will happen? Without using the internet to tell you the rules or how to play, do you think you'd be able to figure it out? Would you get anywhere close to playing what the actual game of Monopoly is? I mean, probably not. Even with the instructions, I don't know how to play. The more likely answer is you'd end up playing horses versus cars, or just building stacks of houses and wrapping them in fake paper dollars. See, without knowing the rules, not only would you not have a chance of playing the game, but you definitely wouldn't have a chance of winning. And for a lot of people, that's what's happening to them in life. This is why people are so stuck and frustrated. You feel like they're going in circles getting nowhere, because they're trying to play a game without knowing the rules. And in doing so, they're getting frustrated about why they're not winning, when the reality is they're not even playing the game. They don't even have the board set up right. Of course they're not winning. So if that's you, if you felt stuck, if you felt like there's just something that hasn't clicked, like you want more out of life, like you're ready to receive it, but you just haven't figured out what that last missing piece is, then listen up, because the next few minutes very well might change your life. Because the first step to being able to win the game is to learn the rules. So what are the rules? Well, in reality, there are very few rules in life. You might think, be nice to others, do not steal, do not murder. But these are societal rules, which are really just suggestions. They are rules only so much as you want to exist inside of a society. But those rules can definitely be broken. And you know that to be true because people are assholes. People steal. And people murder literally every day. The real rules, the rules that I'm talking about, are rules of the universe. These are laws of the universe that cannot be broken. These things are not up for debate. They are not a matter of opinion. They just are. So gravity is a rule of the universe, at least here on Earth. The fact that there are 24 hours in a day, that is a rule, that is a law. The sun rises in the east and it sets in the west. These are rules and laws that cannot be broken by a human, period. And another rule, a law of the universe, is that change is hard. It's not my opinion. This is not my theory. This is simply a law of the universe. So wanting it not to be so does not change it. It cannot. And when you don't understand that and you don't accept it, it's like trying to win a Monopoly without ever having read the rules. You've already lost before you've even started. And when I say change is hard, this is not a euphemism. It's not an exaggeration. And it's not to say like, well, yeah, it's hard, but you can do hard things. I'm literally saying that creating change is hard because of the nature of change and the literal physics and fabric of the universe. So understand that when I say hard, I don't mean it to mean difficult, although it can be that as well. Hard in this sense just means energy expensive. So imagine a fork in the road. To the left is a sign that says do nothingville. And to the right is a sign that says try hard city. In do nothingville, everything happens for you. You want a cheeseburger, it just appears. No grocery shopping, no cooking. You don't even have to pull out your phone and order a DoorDash. You just think about it and it pops into your hands. You can eat it. So that's easy. No or low effort. In Try Hard City, you can get the same result, but you have to expend the energy to make it happen. So you want a cheeseburger, you can have it, but you have to get up and you have to make it happen for yourself. Whether that's going to the grocery store, cooking it, whether that's going to a restaurant and ordering it. There's different levels of difficulty, but all of it takes energy. So both directions, both parts of the fork in the road will get you to the same result. But one gets you there through expending more energy, and one gets you there through expending less energy. So the route that takes you to expending more energy, by definition, is harder. Expending more energy is harder than expending less energy. It is the very use of energy that makes the thing harder. So if you get a result by expending less energy, that thing is easier. And if you get a result by expending more energy, that result is harder. That's just how effort works. So hopefully you're with me on that. So Newton's first law of physics says that an object at rest will stay at rest unless acted on by a greater force. This is also known sometimes as the law of inertia. Hey, real quick, we'll be back to the show in just a few seconds, but right now I just have to tell you about my free weekly newsletter. If you want to join the thousands of change seekers just like you who get a curated list each week of 5 educational, informative, and inspiring pieces of content to help you on your quest for change, then click the link in the notes that says free newsletter right now. You'll get signed up for free tips that will make your change journey easier, sent straight to your inbox every Friday. All you have to do is click free newsletter in whatever app you're listening on. Okay, now back to the show. Inertia is the law of stuckness. It is literally defined as the tendency to do nothing or remain unchanged. This is the law of the status quo. It says that staying the same is the rule and that change is the exception. Because to break out of the stuckness of inertia, you have to be pushed. The very first law of physics says that things stay the same unless force is exerted on it. And that means to create literally any change, there must be force. And exerting more force to create the change must be, by definition, harder than the resting state, which takes no force, no energy. It just is. So there must be a push to create change. And this is true both physically and metaphorically. When it comes to human behavior, this change can come from internal or external, but it must be greater than the force of inertia that is keeping you stuck. So getting unstuck, by definition, takes more energy than continuing on doing what you're doing, maintaining the status quo. That means that it has to be harder. So the hard thing about hard things is that they are hard. I know it can sound so obvious when I put it that way, but if you've ever caught yourself thinking like, why the hell does this have to be so hard when you're doing anything, then you know it isn't as obvious as it seems. It's hard because that's the very nature of the universe. Okay? So ready for more science? There's also a law in physics called the law of thermodynamics. And the law of thermodynamics says that energy cannot be created or destroyed, only transferred. Meaning all of the energy that is in the universe exists. No more is created, no more is destroyed. It is just moves around. So nothing creates energy from nothing. Again, that's just how physics works. So every living organism must find a way to deal with this because every living organism needs energy to live and must deal with the realities of the universe and play within the rules of the game that we are in. So humans developed skeletons and muscles to deal with the rule of gravity. Now, since life can't make its own energy and life needs energy to exist, all living things must figure out a way to get energy and not lose it. So plants take light energy from the sun and through photosynthesis transform it into energy that their cells can use to grow and live. Humans transfer energy that comes from our food, we ingest it, and that energy can then be used by the body. That's how we solve the issue of getting energy. But everything that we do at every moment of every day is also using or expending energy. It's just exercise, walking, sure, but sleeping, breathing, eating, reading, listening, it's all using energy. Even keeping your heart beating, keeping the blood flowing in your body. Living costs energy. And that means that your body is always creating an energy deficit. So think about a bucket with a hole in the bottom. The water inside will always leak out. So the only way to keep it filled would be to continually try to fill it and pouring in more water and keeping up with the pace that it's pouring out. But now imagine that if that bucket ever gets empty, you die. And since there's a hole in the bottom, you know that the water is always going to pour out. So if there's water all around you and you had an unlimited supply of water, let's say you're in a boat in the middle of a lake, you would probably just keep filling that bucket up as much and as fast as possible. Just keep filling it up faster, then it can drain out through the hole and everything's going to be okay. But now imagine that water is scarce and limited. Maybe you're not on a boat in a lake, you're in a desert. And you know that it does rain sometimes, but it rains at inconsistent intervals. And you can't necessarily predict it. The rain will come, but now your job is to make sure that you don't run out of water before that happens. Because again, when the water runs out, you die. So now you would probably switch your focus to plugging up the hole to reduce the amount of water that's leaking out, or at least slow it so you can have more time until the next batch of water comes. And that's how your body has a relationship with energy. It knows that energy is always flowing out and that energy in, which is food, is not always guaranteed. So it's learned to reduce the outputs of energy whenever and wherever possible. The nature of all living things is to do no more than they absolutely must do to stay alive. They expend as little energy as possible to slow the leaking of the bucket. And anything that speeds up energy consumption, that drains your bucket faster, feels like an attack on your potential survival. And anything that conserves energy, that keeps your bucket more full, feels like safety. So when you're standing at the fork in the road between do-nothingville and hard work city, your brain will always choose do-nothingville because it's easier, it's less energy expensive. And that means that equilibrium, or the status quo, the thing we already have, by definition, by the very laws of physics, expends less energy than creating change. And that your body and the very cells that you are composed of feel that anything that expends more energy is literal danger, and that anything that expends less energy represents safety. So again, for emphasis, anything that expends energy is hard and is looked at as an affront to your very survival, since it is taking away your precious energy reserves. And one thing that always takes expending energy is change. Since due to Newton's first law and the law of inertia, you must expend more energy to create change than to maintain what you have. So why is this important? Why am I telling you this? Again, because these are laws of the universe, not my opinion. I am talking about physics and human biology. The point here is not that you can circumvent this with some hack. The point is that when you know the rules to the game, you can play by the rules. And when you don't know how to play, you get frustrated and end up saying, well, this is stupid and I quit. But when you know the rules, you can get better and you can play the game more efficiently and you can learn strategies that make the game easier. But that only happens when you know the rules inside and out. When you don't understand, you say, why is this so hard? It's hard because it's change. The very nature of the fact that you're trying to do something different, something better, something more, means it has to be hard. If it weren't hard, if it didn't take more energy, then it would happen in do-nothingville. It would happen by itself, automatically. And if that were the case, it would already be done. By definition, anything that requires change and time is hard. Again, this is not an error. It is not a flaw. It is not something to be upset about. Any more than you'd be upset about the sun rising or about the tides going in and out. You don't fight against the tide. Any lifeguard will tell you that's the worst thing you can do. Instead, you take that energy and you use it on the change. Change is hard. But that's why the entire goal of the show is to help you make it easy. Since your literal biology is fighting against doing hard things, trying to save you energy, and everything that you want is hard, we have to make it easier. So the first step is just awareness. You have to learn the rules of the game that you're playing. But the next step is to find ways to make it easier. Not with hacks, not by trying to cheat the system, but by playing the game better. In December of 2023, a 13-year-old boy named Wes Gibson did what people had thought to be impossible for nearly 40 years. He beat the game of Tetris. That's right, that Tetris, the game that was invented in 1985 and has been a classic ever since, has actually never been beaten until last December. And how did he do it, this 13-year-old boy? It wasn't by using a hack or a cheat code. He just practiced. He learned the game. He learned the rules better than anyone else. And that's how he beat the game. When you know how to play, the game becomes easier. So just having that awareness, just you no longer not understanding the rules, fighting against the tide, already makes change easier. The Buddha said, let yourself be open and life will be easier. Be open to the hardships. They're coming anyway. Be open, accept them, and things will get easier. Now you see, change is hard, and that's okay. It's not a flaw in the system. It's certainly not you being crazy or lazy. Now that you understand the rules, you can play the game better. That's change made easy. If you're really passionate about making this change stick, then I just have to remind you about my free weekly newsletter. Don't miss out on joining the thousands of change seekers just like you who get a curated list each week of 5 educational, informative, and inspiring pieces of content that will help you on your quest for change. Go to the notes of whatever app you're listening on and click the link that says free newsletter now. And you'll be signed up to get free tips sent straight to your inbox every Friday that will help make your change journey easier. All you have to do is click free newsletter right now. Go to that link and I'll see you back here every Tuesday and Thursday for new episodes of Change Made Easy.